Hey guys, it's Justin again. Today we'd like to share another episode from our first ever podcast, the Ultra Odyssey Cast, where we talk about one of my all-time favorite movies, Kimi no Na wa, also known as Your Name. We actually recorded this over 5 years ago now, which is crazy to think about, but I still think it holds up pretty well, and I hope that you all enjoy it.
Welcome to the Ultra Odyssey Cast. I'm your host Rob, joined by John and Justin. Today we're going to be discussing Kimi no Na wa, also known as Your Name, the popular anime movie that came out back in 2016. However, we saw it in 2017, Justin and I, on our trip to Japan, which we went on in April of that year. And our experience with this movie that we loved, by the way, right, Justin? We love this movie.
Yeah, this is my favorite anime film. Maybe my favorite anime of all time.
But leading up to watching the movie was not the best experience.
I had a great time.
Well, maybe you did. At this point, Justin and I had been in Japan for about 3 or 4 days, and we were getting pretty much tired of each other. Jay Wang had gotten us lost in Kyoto for about 6 hours, I'd say.
This is what happens when you have me take the entire itinerary and plan the entire trip.
Well, yeah, it was a huge mistake on my part. Big oversight.
You're not a navigator, apparently.
No, he's one of the worst navigators you could ever ask for. So at this point, it was
It's probably like day 5.
Yeah, day 5 of our trip. We were at the Arashiyama Bamboo Forest in a torrential downpour. By the way, as you can imagine, a bamboo forest is outside, so we were out in that rain.
I heard it's quite beautiful in the rain,
well,
actually.
I would say that it wasn't. It was cold, frigid, ugly, overcast. Nothing about it was enjoyable, especially the company.
Oh, wow.
Anyway,
Strong words.
After we had trekked through that bamboo forest, we made our way onto the Shinkansen bullet train in order to go to Tokyo. And on the train ride, that's where I noticed Justin was watching this movie very intently. I wasn't familiar with what he was watching at the time, and he was just so focused on it, and, you know, he clearly was really into it. So, Justin, why don't you tell me about your first viewing of Kimi no Na wa?
So we're on the Shinkansen, and Rob's clearly, he's had enough of me. Rob's just sulking in the corner, just trying to get some rest, and he's soaking wet from the rain. And I've never heard or seen this movie before. I just downloaded it because I heard it was doing quite well. Don't have any idea what the synopsis is. And it just entranced me, like the first few minutes, the first opening sequence, the music, the animation. I don't think I've ever seen anything that beautiful in terms of animation before. It was really good. And it's one of those movies where you don't even have time to think. It moves at such a good pace that you're just you're taken in. You don't have time to judge it. You don't have time to criticize it in your head. You're just watching, waiting for the next thing to happen.
And you've watched it how many times now?
I would say roughly 7 or 8.
7 or 8 times.
Really? I thought it was more than that. I thought it was like 18.
I would say somewhere between 8 and 10.
8 and 18.
No, let me give you some context for that. So I watched it on my own 1 to 3 times, I'd say. Maybe 4 times. And the reason why I've watched it so many other times is because I travel a lot for work, and Delta has it as one of their movies. And the first time I saw that, I was like, this is amazing. And I watched it in full detail. And then every other time I traveled after that, I was just like listening to it while I did whatever I was doing.
See, that sounds a lot better than Air China, where I watched Moana about 4 times.
Wow.
On our trip home from Japan.
That sounds like
4 times.
Yeah,
it was a terrible experience.
Really rough.
Yeah.
Don't forget you forgot your headphones and you had to take mine from me.
Well, that's irrelevant to this discussion, I think.
Okay.
Just because you're an awful navigator doesn't mean you have to drag me under the bus with you.
That's the perfect microcosm for both of your relationships.
That's a fair point. But you know what? It's not as good of a representation of our relationship as the relationship between the main characters, Mitsuha and Taki-kun.
Mitsuha!
Exactly. I think the thing about this movie that really got me was the characters. I really felt like I was rooting for them. And I didn't even know what I was rooting for. I didn't know what was supposed to be happening in this.
Yeah.
But I just knew that I wanted them to have some sort of success or some sort of happiness or some sort of... I just thought a reward. I don't know.
And they don't even have that much development. Like, they're pretty plain teenagers,
Right.
but you really like them in the film. That's how I felt, at least.
It really just does a good job of making you want to love these characters.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't watch it when you watched it, obviously. I
Right.
was sulking in the corner playing Pokemon and crying and choking on my own tears.
I was enjoying myself.
Right, you looked like you were having a great time. But I watched it for the first time when I got back home. I watched it alone in my mother's basement in the darkness, and I feel like it took me a while to finally sit down and say, all right, I'm going to watch this, because Justin was raving about it over and over again. I was like, okay, I definitely do need to watch this. And then when I sat there and I watched it, I was honestly just like you, entranced by it.
I think I
could not
texted
take my
you.
eyes off
I was
of it.
like, how good was it? You're like, this is really good.
Yeah, I really just sat there like so focused on it, and nothing else at that moment could distract me. And then I finished it, and I said to myself, wait, what?
Yeah, because the first time I watched it, I don't know, John, if you felt the same way, but the first time we watched it, we were like, I have no idea what just happened, but that was really good. And I think I had to watch it a second time to understand the rules of the universe.
Well, much like Rob, I got into it because you were raving about it. So you guys maybe sat down and I watched with you. And yeah, I liked it a lot. I wouldn't say I was engrossed with it to the extent that you guys were, but I mean, yeah, it was just a crisp movie. I mean, the animation was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the characters were likable enough. The plot line, kept you, really into it. You didn't really know what was going to happen. So, I mean,
you especially did not know what was going to happen.
Oh, I thought it ended on the meteor. Spoiler alert! I thought it ended on the meteor strike when she just got complete dinosaured.
Yeah, I think at that point you were kind of hoping it was over.
I was absolutely hoping, because that would have actually been, in my opinion, an interesting ending. Just to end on
That would have been horrible.
That would have been a great ending.
That's a terrible.
Who would enjoy that ending?
I would have.
Why?
So different.
Why? What is good about that
Because
ending?
it's different.
Why is that a good thing? Just because it's different?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just expecting something different. I mean, life is not always, sunshine and rainbows.
Sometimes it's meteors.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes life finds a way.
Yeah.
And you gotta believe that.
Find a way.
I just remember when we were watching it, the screen turns black after the meteor hits them, and John just sits there. Is it over? And then all of a sudden it comes back and says, fuck, it's back on.
Yeah, I think he was really prepared and happy for this movie to be over.
Like, what kind of ending is that?
No, I don't understand how you could find that a rewarding ending.
And their relationship wasn't even reconciled at that point. They just got cut off from each other.
That would be
and then
such
done.
a unique ending.
But, anytime you end a movie midway through, it would be a unique ending.
That's well said.
That's a good point.
Obviously, that's different. That's something that doesn't happen because it's awful writing. That's why it didn't end there.
Yeah, like, what if Lord of the Rings, Frodo just dies on the mountain?
Okay, actually, no, that might have been interesting.
I think I would have liked that better. But I'm sorry, back to Kimi no Nawa.
No, I mean, I didn't think it ended at the first time where it went to black, where she explicitly died. I thought the second time where the comet hits and you don't know if the mayor saved them or not. Because that's an ambiguous ending. I would have liked that. I would have appreciated that.
You mean before the last 10 minutes where it showed them in the future?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I think that's more fair of a point, but at the same time, I think you thought it ended when the first meteor hit.
I said, did she get dinosaur?
No, because, that's exactly what you said. You're like, holy shit, did she just die?
Yeah, and you were ready to accept that the movie was over.
Yeah, I guess because at that point I wasn't really enjoying it, but I mean, more...
you just have no taste, Jesus
I have no taste, apparently.
You're absolutely out of your mind.
But, no, I was more referring to the second comet hit.
So you didn't like you weren't totally into the first
I wasn't really into it. I mean, I got more into it towards the end.
What part did you like about it? Where did you start feeling it?
That's an excellent question. I started feeling it more towards after she died and he went on the quest to find her, and you noticed how dedicated he was to this cause and how he was searching for the lost town. Actually, that part I liked.
Didn't love that part. I mean, I was totally into it, but when I rewatch it the 9th, 10th, and 11th time, that's the part that I least focus in on. I love the beginning and I love the end.
I actually disagree with that. I feel like on my second viewing, that's the part that I really enjoy the most, because that's when you realize that he is starting to forget about her, and you understand just how much he's struggling and how hard it is for him to accept that he's trying to find this place that doesn't exist, and in that he's even forgetting what he's even looking for. Right. I feel like that's really, once you understand that that's what's going on, it's a lot more, it's a lot harder.
Profound.
It's a lot more profound. It's
agree.
A lot more poignant.
Yeah, it's this sensation that everybody gets where they're searching for something but they don't know what. So that's really where I started to get the subtext. And
right, and I definitely agree with that.
This is that's a good point to make. But like I said, before the comet strike hit, it just seemed kind of just like a simple romance movie, which is, you guys know me. I'm not into romance. This is a romance subgenre at all.
And you're not into slice of life, which they were totally doing. They're just like,
no, I like slice of life. I just don't like romance movies.
I wouldn't even say this was really slice of lifey at all.
A little bit, they're just going to.
Yeah, but it was more of a. They didn't have much of it. It was more like a montage of the slice of life aspect. It really didn't last.
And I
long.
I mean, I know it's splitting hairs, but yes, it was showing their daily life and how they go about their daily life, but it wasn't really slice of life as in, oh, look how silly their lives are.
No, it's character
Let's
development.
enjoy random aspects of random days. It was, showing what they do in their everyday life to show just how different they are, the contrast between the two of them, the country girl, the city boy, and how they adjust to those different lives.
No, you're totally right on that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't really, I don't enjoy love stories, but this one worked in the sense that it was like written in the stars, right? That was the whole point of this movie, that their fates were intertwined. So, I mean, I guess it didn't really get a lot of development, like why they fell in love, but like I said, it ties into the whole point of them just being destined to fall in love, like almost star-crossed lovers, like Romeo and Juliet, I guess.
I think that's part of... some people have some criticism about that, too, and I disagree with it. They say, wait, they didn't really have a chance to develop this romance. Like, where do they even have this time to have feelings for each other? But I think interlaced between this back-and-forth montage that Rob was talking about, that's really where they're starting to understand and get to know each other, and the text logs. And they don't explicitly talk or anything, but they get to know each other better than, I'd say, a lot of relationships.
Right, they have a true understanding for the life of the other character, and I think that's what makes them fall, in love with each other, is that this is who he is, this is who she is, this is what she goes through every day, and I guess they grew to respect each other or something along the lines of that, and that's where you see it starting to develop. You see the interest starting to develop. You see her getting jealous of him going on, the date. And
even though she planned it,
right? Then she starts to think, "Well, I wish I was going on the date with him."
They don't even realize that they're falling for each other.
That's a good pickup, though, because that's not explicit at all. That's very you really have to delve into the story, maybe watch it multiple times. That's a good pickup, Rob.
Right. I do definitely think this is a movie that benefits from multiple viewings, especially 7 or 8.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if that's enough, frankly.
Do you really think that?
No, I don't actually. I think 2 or 3 times you get the full picture.
Well, what would you say on subsequent viewings were things that you noticed differently?
First, after the first viewing, you don't really understand how the magic works in the universe. So the second viewing, you kind of pick that up, and the third viewing, I think you just start liking the characters more and more. I would say by the 4th or 5th viewing, I just enjoyed it. It's like popcorn for me.
At that point, you're just watching it for the music and the animation. And,
exactly.
The animation was gorgeous.
All
I
of
said
that,
it before.
All of that great stuff about it. I think, that's what really gives it the next step up, is you have a really engaging story and really nice characters that you kind of, fall in love with and fall in love with their story. But the thing that really pushes it over the edge is the music and the art and just all of the other things that go into, an anime production. That's what really sets it apart.
Yeah, and I think I read somewhere that the director Shinkai, he talked to Radwimps, which is the band, and he said, I'm storyboarding this, and I want you guys to create music for this. And they kind of worked together hand in hand. They didn't just get some music and just drop it into the storyboard afterwards. So that's why it plays off so well off each other.
Right, it just, everything flowed so naturally. And even though, on my first viewing, I'll say it, I really did not understand a lot of what was going on. But at the same time, I felt like there was purpose to every scene. Even if I wasn't understanding it, I wasn't getting angry about the fact I wasn't understanding it. I wasn't saying like, wow, this is really poorly told because I don't get it. No, it wasn't that I'm not, it wasn't that they were doing a bad job of explaining it. It's just that there's a lot to this movie.
I think this is also one of the first movies, and maybe this is why you enjoyed it so much. You really feel something for it. You're not cerebrally thinking about it.
Right.
You're just kind of feeling out the movie.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I disagree. I feel like there was time. I didn't think the pacing was too rushed. Like I definitely got a sense in my head to kind of analyze each scene. Especially, like I said, the one that I mentioned before, where he was searching for the town. I don't know. I mean, I thought this was a cerebral movie.
Maybe I'm just stupid.
I agree. I agree that you're stupid, but I also fall into that bucket.
Okay, so
I'm not any smarter than you guys. I don't know. I guess I just got a different sense of it than. I mean, maybe I was just being over analytical. That could totally be it. And just like maybe I should just shut my mind off and just enjoyed it for what it was.
Johnny, did you have any expectations walking into this movie? Because you didn't see this.
You guys made the expectations sky high.
So for our audience,
it was a little bit of a letdown in that regard because I thought this was going to be like an absolute masterpiece, and
it was.
I don't know. I personally didn't think it was a masterpiece. I thought it was a good movie, but not to the extent that you described it.
So for the context for the audience, me and Rob, I watched this in April. Rob probably watched this April or May, and Johnny watched this maybe a few months ago.
Yeah, just like
if not last month, it might have been January.
Yeah, it might have been last month.
Yeah, it might have been January or very late 2017,
right?
The earliest. So you had 8 months of us raving about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any expectations from the aspect of? Did you know what this movie was about at all?
Yeah, because like I said, I mentioned in a previous podcast that I worked in a bookstore, and they made either a light novel or a manga out of it, and I read like the first few pages of it, and I was like, okay, this is like a body swapping thing, and so I got the gist of it.
So I didn't even get that. I didn't even know that from the get go. How about you, Rob?
No, honestly, the only thing I knew about it was when you were watching it. I looked over at your computer screen at the very end when Taki was just doing his interviews in the city, for his job interviews.
Who?
Taki-kun! so that's all I saw. So at that point, I really didn't have any grasp on what this movie could possibly be about, especially something so good. So in my head, going into it, I thought it was like, okay, I guess it's some kid coming of age trying to find his place in the world. That's what I thought. So obviously I had no idea what it was about because I was dead wrong.
Yeah, you're watching this backwards.
Right. Which also might be an interesting experiment.
I might do that. I might.
You know what?
Why do you think that'd be interesting? I'm a little confused. Why do you think that would work?
I mean, watching it forwards, I really don't understand what was going on. So, maybe watching it backwards would have been a little easier for me.
So it's about a boy who's trying to get a job, and then he gets hit by a meteor, and then he goes to work at a restaurant because he never finds that job.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I think I'd be even more confused. I don't think that would work.
I was so upset he didn't. The senpai date with his senpai didn't go well.
Yeah, I think I was rooting for senpai as well.
It was tragic.
Okudera senpai.
Yeah, no, you know what? But I think that's the point.
How old was Okudera senpai? Because I remember I thought she was like a year older than him.
I thought she was like 26 and he was like 15. She was animated that well.
No, I had it as him as like
17.
15, 16, and her as like maybe 20. Not that much older than him.
She was drawn like an adult though, and he was drawn like
she
like
was really pretty. Like, she was really pretty drawn.
Yeah, but I really didn't.
I don't know. I got the impulse that she was really like
I
thought she was like 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah, John thought she was like a freaking cougar. I thought they were just like in the same school, 1 year older or something.
Well, I definitely thought they were further apart than you, but not as far apart as John. I would say I was right.
Oh man! In all seriousness, no. I absolutely love the ending. I mean, like how there's some sort of ambiguity to it. Like you don't know if they are explicitly going to wind up together. Like there's no kissing or anything. Just like they ask for each other's names. I love that.
I don't think there's anything that could have been better. And my favorite part about the ending is you still want more, but you know it can't get better.
Exactly.
You see, I disagree to an extent.
Because
the one thing I hate about anime as a form of media altogether is that they always leave you wanting more at the end of something. They never explicitly show anything, which I get it.
In general,
you want to
romance.
In general,
it's pretty much
always romance.
Oh no, in romance, I mean, the way that anime usually handles romance, and I get it. You can piece things together yourself, but sometimes you really just want to see it, for yourself, them just stuck together.
You don't think it's more rewarding though when like you have to kind of assume what happens next instead of being like explicitly told to you? Because doesn't it feel like it's kind of pandering to you?
Sometimes I want to be pandered.
It's like kind of condescending almost.
No, you know what? Sometimes I want to feel like a child. I want it spoon fed to me.
I hear what you're saying.
Sometimes you really just enjoy seeing what you want to see.
That last line tied into the whole movie.
No, it was perfect.
Like it really was perfect. Like,
it was definitely the perfect ending, but I just disagree with the fact that that you could definitely be content with it because I know I wanted more and I would have enjoyed it more if it gave me that more.
Well, what more? Like they explicitly kissed? Is that what you're looking for?
Not even that, just that there's the realization that they are going to be together, that they really just walk over to each other and something else happens.
Right. Well, I mean,
not just that moment where they're looking at each other from the top of the steps to the bottom of the steps. It's not enough for me. Not enough for me.
I don't think... I stand by that. I don't think that could have been a better ending, but I can't say that I wouldn't have liked a pandering epilogue or a 10-minute post-series where they're like, going on a date or something.
Right.
Well, if I can give an analogy, if you guys all or if you viewers have seen the Shawshank Redemption, and it's based off a book, and the original ending to the book was that Red, or Morgan Freeman's character, just ends the line. The ending line is that I hope, and that's like the whole theme of the book. Whereas in the movie, that you think that's the ending, but then it cuts to a scene where he actually meets up with Andy Dufresne, who is Tim Robinson's character.
I'm so glad.
And I feel like
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like that kind of took away from the whole point of his line. So I feel like that ties into.
So you didn't like the fact that they went the extra mile and showed you them having their happy ending?
Because I feel like it just kind of mitigates what lessens the whole like core of what he said.
Well,
I feel like that kind of happened. That would have happened in this regard.
I definitely agree with you that that's the better way to handle something as a piece of art, but me as a piece of shit wants everything shown to me exactly how I want it. Easy to understand.
No hyperanalyzing for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm conflicted. I still kind of want that 10-minute epilogue for myself. But,
right.
Maybe after the credits, but like maybe not during the movie itself.
Oh, you know what would have been nice? I think if they did, like in the credit scenes, they just have a whole bunch of photographs together instead of any talking.
Oh, that would
have
been nice. Yeah.
I think that would have had the best of both worlds without a slap to the face.
That's an excellent. That's a very good compromise. I can give you that.
Can we all agree on that? The photograph ending.
So let's call Makoto Shinkai and be like, "Hey, man, like I know you know this film's already not perfect.
You did a pretty good job your first time around, but we have a little bit of a problem with it.
Editor's cut. You know what you need to do."
Yeah, okay. I think we're good with that.
Rob, can you help fund this? Can you just throw him a couple bucks?
I don't know. I got about 58 cents in my pocket.
I think that's enough for
I feel like that should be enough.
That should be fine for that level of animation.
Yeah, I can take enough pictures.
Okay,
just a hand-drawn stick figure, them two like holding hands.
That would be enough for me. That's all I needed. All I needed to be happy.
I can give you a stick job. It's very unpleasant.
Okay, so let's end it with this. What was your favorite scene from the movie?
Let Johnny start with this.
Well, I mean, again, I hope I'm not making a mockery of this well-regarded movie, but the one scene where they write on each other's hands to try and figure out like their names, I was just thinking we could meme the shit out of that one scene. Like instead of writing "I love you," Tak just wrote "Snape kills Dumbledore" on her hands. That would have been absolutely perfect.
Right,
just to end
after she falls, she wakes up and opens her hand. It's like Taki, Snape kills Dumbledore. You know what? Yeah, I think that also could have improved the movie. What about you, Justin? What was your favorite scenes, favorite moment from the movie?
I think I could rewatch the first 4 or 5 minutes where they're playing the music. And,
right.
They're talking about like the most beautiful scenery they've ever seen. I've probably seen that like 20 times.
Yeah, I think the part that like really got me the most was towards the end.
Oh, I know.
The very end, where where Taki and Mitsuo pass each other in the snow on the bridge, and they both pause, and then they keep walking. And at that point, I was just like, no, you are not doing this to me. I cannot believe you are doing this to me. But that part really just, gripped me and had that effect on me. And that's the part that really got me, animated and into what was happening. And I know it was towards the end, but that's the scene that really sticks with me and that I always think back on.
They do a good job hooking you with that.
Right, exactly. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's my favorite scene.
That's what I really enjoyed about that scene.
And I think on the second viewing, when you rewatch it and you realize that the entire thing is just a flashback, the first 3 minutes is a flashback that connects back to that very last scene chronologically, that's pretty cool too.
And that will wrap up our discussion on Your Name. And of course, as always, you can leave us a comment here and we will most definitely get back to you. Thanks for listening.
Mitsuo! Taki-kun! Mitsuo! Taki-kun!